there's a pattern. Murderbot confirms this, and when they ask him how he knows, he has no choice but to explain that the company makes all SEC units periodically check client logs. Pin Lee is upset by this invasion of privacy, and now the group is wary of Murderbot just like Urathan. Later, while the others are asleep, Mensa tells Murderbot not to take the group's fear seriously, claiming they're just nervous because of the situation. She tries to chit-chat and talk about her family, but Murderbot pretends he has maintenance work to do. In the morning, they reach the Deltfall habitat, which is much better than theirs. They try to contact the team, but there's still no answer. Ratty notices all the aircraft are there, but Murderbot can't detect the other SEC units and asks Mensa to park outside the perimeter just in case. After Ratty has chosen to stay in the ship, the group starts exploring the area and finds a bunch of crustaceans on a creek, but they aren't aggressive. Murderbot is suspicious of the lack of pings from other robots and tells the team to wait while he does a preliminary check. Inside the habitat, an alarm is going off. Eventually Murderbot finds a destroyed robot, but it tells Mensa on the radio that it's only on standby. In the next room it finds all the bodies and asks Mensa to go back to the aircraft without giving her details. Mensa wants an explanation, but the communication ends with a glitch. While the humans go back to the ship, it's revealed that Murderbot caused the glitch on purpose so the humans would obey its orders, another idea that it took from TV. Its search takes it to a SEC unit that went rogue and the other two that tried to stop it. However, the space appears to be too clean. One robot may have died protecting the comms hub, but the other two killed each other simultaneously, which doesn't make sense. Suddenly a SEC unit awakens and attacks Murderbot, who easily overpowers its enemy because the unit had taken a lot of damage. It can read all its movements and shoots just in time to defeat it. Then Murderbot examines the unit and notices that someone overrode its combat module. At that moment a black SEC unit appears behind it and opens fire. A flashback shows the Corporation RIM at the Threshold Pass Fabrication Center, where SEC units are manufactured. The process is very demanding on human workers, who are overworked and likely to make errors in the production line. Most of them think they won't survive this job and talk about the years left, as if they had a sentence forcing them to work there. The system often glitches too, but the workers don't care. The robot heads are kept in jars that creep people out. In the present, the black SEC unit is dragging Murderbot through the corridors to then throw it on a table. Murderbot's memory isn't working well after being stunned and keeps repeating TV clips. On the ship, the others worry because Mensa is back in the woods trying to ping Murderbot to no avail. Pin Lee goes after her and tries to convince her to come back because Murderbot is probably dead, but Mensa refuses. In the habitat, the black SEC unit is trying to access Murderbot's system and gets ready to install a device, making Murderbot realize it'll override its combat module like it did with the others. To buy some time, Murderbot starts singing. The enemy stares in confusion, and that second is enough for Murderbot to attack. Unfortunately, this black unit is too strong and in just a few seconds, it overpowers Murderbot using its superior design. Now it can insert the device in the back of Murderbot's neck, which will take 10 minutes to do the reprogramming. Suddenly the black SEC unit is stabbed by a drill and collapses. It was done by Mensa, who is pushing through a panic attack to help. Murderbot wants to warn her about what's going on, but its mouth just keeps repeating something about breaching protocol. The duo leaves the habitat and doesn't notice the black robot moving. On the ship, the others discuss Mensa's attitude. She's their leader in the habitat, but during missions they're supposed to be equal. Ratty grabs a weapon despite not having any training and leaves, determined to help too. In the habitat, Murderbot wants to reach for the device, but its scrambled system won't let it. In fact, it starts to hallucinate that it's on its favorite TV show. At that moment the black unit reappears and opens fire, so the duo rushes to hide. Mensa asks for help on the radio and Ratty rushes to the habitat, although first he has to ask the others how to use the gun. Unfortunately he can't open the door. Arada and Pin Lee lose contact with him and decide to go too. Mensa finds a room with weapons and opens fire when the black robot brings the door down, sending it flying. Then she blows up the back door and leaves with Murderbot. As they reunite with Ratty, the black SEC unit comes out too. Ratty tries to shoot it but hits his head and collapses in the process. Murderbot doesn't understand why the black robot is playing with them instead of killing them and realizes that the enemy is waiting for the device to finish overriding the system. Then Murderbot would kill the humans and nobody would suspect outside interference. Suddenly the aircraft lands on top of the black SEC unit and smashes it repeatedly before dropping to finally destroy it. With the enemy truly dead, Murderbot can finally remove the device and destroy it too. Sadly it can feel the reprogramming already happening, so it takes Mensa's weapon and self-deletes. The shot isn't enough to kill it and the team gets ready to move it back to the ship. A noise in the woods startles them and Arada opens fire, but it's just a worker named Lee Beebe who escaped the habitat when the incident started. During the trip back, the team asks Lee Beebe for details, but she has no idea what actually happened besides their SEC units going rogue. She thinks Murderbot is handsome and wishes she could get naughty with him. Moments later, Murderbot is in the habitat being healed and Ratty calls it his friend. Bharadwaj has discovered that the device left behind some wires and uses a special surgery machine to remove them. Now they just need to reboot Murderbot. Guray then plugs into its system to check for any bad codes and learns the truth. When Murderbot finally wakes up, it can't move because Guray then has paralyzed it. Guray then tells everyone that Murderbot hacked its own system to go rogue and Lee Bibi panics. The others defend Murderbot, pointing out that if it were evil, it would have already killed them by now. An argument ensues and they start to wonder if the company planned it all. Murderbot interrupts them to explain that the company could just poison their supplies using their recycling system. However, the company has a financial interest in keeping the crew alive. Guray then is still wary and asks about all the shows downloaded in the system, thinking they're a secret code. Murderbot talks about the show's plot to prove it's been watching it in its free time instead of plotting their deaths. A frustrated Guray then doesn't want to trust it and announces he'll keep it paralyzed. However, Murderbot pushes him against the wall by the neck, proving that his paralysis program is easily hackable. Mensa makes it drop him and asks it to be part of the crew for what is left of the mission. She swears not to tell the company, and if Murderbot protects them, at the end of the mission they'll let it go. Murderbot takes the deal and reveals it's been playing old footage of chores on the cameras so the company won't know. Afterward, they finally decide to activate the emergency beacon. Lee Bibi has no idea if her team activated their beacon because she was just a cleaner. Unfortunately, Guray and Murderbot can't access this habitat's beacon, which is located on a mountain in the middle of the planet. It would take the company 5 days to arrive, so they need to act fast. Murderbot volunteers to take the aircraft to the beacon to activate it manually, and Mensa will be the pilot. Before they leave, Lee Bibi apologizes to Murderbot for thinking it's dangerous and kisses its chin because it's all she can reach. Moments later, the aircraft finds the beacon and searches for a place to land. However, Murderbot's scanners detect a threat and it tells Mensa to fly back. The beacon suddenly explodes and hits the aircraft, which starts going down. The crash doesn't hurt anyone, but sadly the aircraft isn't working anymore. Murderbot isn't bothered by the printer piece stuck in its abdomen and concludes this was a distraction, so someone is probably attacking the habitat now. Mensa asks if it has copies of the repair manuals, but Murderbot admits it deleted them to download more shows because the aircraft had its own manual, which they can't access now. When Murderbot finally removes the piece from its stomach, the wound starts leaking lubricant. Mensa and Murderbot keep trying to repair the aircraft to no avail. This causes Mensa to have a panic attack, so Murderbot plays an episode of his favorite show to distract her. At first she's skeptical, but the silliness does help her relax. Suddenly Murderbot starts talking in gibberish and collapses because of lubricant loss. Minutes later, Murderbot wakes up, thanks to Mensa filling him with lubricant from the aircraft. This means the ship and Murderbot have components in common and they could use fibers from its spinal cord to do the repairs. Following Murderbot's instructions, Mensa makes an incision on its back with a scalpel, then uses a wrench to crack the spine open. With another small incision, she takes out a fiber strip.